Oh, hi Gay, I'm Dad. So let's just get started so I can be happily playing away when people show up later, which I assume people will because I am nothing if not optimistic. I assume you can hear me fine, let me know if you can't, except that if you can't hear me, you won't hear me say that, so you won't know to say that you can't hear me. Which is the eternal difficulty with these sorts of things. Right, so where did we last leave off? We murdered a dog for no reason, and today we're going to go murder some evil underground guys and their four kings, which always makes me think of the fork handles sketch, which is a piece of British ephemeralia from God 30-40 years ago now. But yeah, and then after we beat the four kings, probably go tidy up some side quests, and then it'll be time for the final boss. Yeah, the fork handles sketch was a famous sketch that sort of entered British pop culture after it got popular. It was on the Two Runnies, which was a popular sketch show of the time. Very dated by modern standards. They sure did love their homophobic and racist gags. I mean, I don't remember watching any Two Ronnie stuff, so I have no idea if they were. But it seems, I mean, I imagine if you go back and watch some of the stuff from the 70s now or the 80s, it's bound to be challenging. But the fork handles sketch is someone goes to a shop and wants to buy four candles. And thanks to their amusing regional accents, it's basically impossible to hear that it's four candles and not fork handles. Or it might be the other way round. I'm being told it's the other way round, which, thanks to my team of producers off just off screen, but I don't. It doesn't seem like it would make sense to be the other way around. How can someone be asking for fork handles? That's not really something anyone ever needs. Regardless, we're just going to run through here and just laser blast some ghosts to death, which is one of the rad things you can do in this game, because it's a cool game. I think if your game doesn't have the ability to laser blast ghosts, then why are you even a game designer, frankly? Although, this may be entirely too many ghosts. One of the frustrating things about this zone is that it lacks a nice convenient bonfire for you to use as a shortcut into fights and so on. Although now that I think about it, we could have gone a completely different route and had a much easier time of things. If we had... In fact, I can just go that way now. Yeah, that's one of the most bloodstaining rooms in the game. There's a few zones in the game where you go through a door and you just see 15 bloodstains on the floor, and it's haha, I'm in danger, but that's why this is such a clever game. Like, I think the brilliance of the passive multiplayer is something that people forget about. People think about Dark Souls as being remarkable for the invasion mechanic, but that's really only one aspect of it. The fact that you have this constant perception of other people around you suffering the same difficulties and trying the same challenges. Watching a phantom run past you that's just spontaneously, randomly happened to exist in your game. Hi, Lisa. And immediately get bodied by something that you didn't know was around the corner you were about to run around is always a delightful experience, if you ask me. Less delightful for the guy who gets smashed, but, you know, he's not me, so it's fine. Who cares? So, in terms of ways to get through New Londo, it can be really frustrating because, as I said, there's no easy access to a bonfire. Once you get through the first half of New Londo, you unlock that lift that takes you between the upper and lower parts of New Londo, which I suppose is useful if you ever want to come back up to the top again, but you never really need to. The alternative, of course, is to either use the Firelink Shrine bonfire and fight your way through either all of the ghosts or all of these drakes every time you die and want to start over. Or you can take this lift over here, which also requires you to fight through the drakes, but is a much shorter walk. Beyond that, it really does boil down to just finding where you can make your way through the inner areas. Incidentally, this might be a shorter stream than usual. I'm not sure yet, as I'm feeling fairly unwell. Oh, okay, alright. One of the fascinating things about this game is how careful the hitboxes are. I bring this up every time it happens, but the fact that the collision hitboxes are carefully designed around the specific shape of the creature rather than just giving this was where I last rested? What the fuck? Where's the easiest place to go through? Actually, it might be here. This is actually probably the shortest route to get where we're going. I don't know if there is normal food in Dark Souls. There's definitely hunks of meat in the butcher's place, and there's definitely other weird food stuff around. You can definitely eat the moss if you want to, so my personal suspicion is that the undead do not need to eat, but some of them are perhaps compelled to eat. But I suspect that the food is aggressively normal. You know, this is a land that knows not spice. I'm not sure there are any fish in Dark Souls. I can't think of, at least not in Dark Souls 1, I can't think of a single fish in this game. There's definitely the Hydras, but those are, at best, eels. But I bet they are eely delicious. Oh, did I forget? No, I said, no, I'm not well and I might end early, that's what I said. And now I've remembered to say it again, even though I said it before. But, yeah, so when we eventually get back around to where we were going, which I just realised I ran straight past because I'm dozy today, apparently. But, so the lift that we found here near a Silver Knight, ages and ages and ages ago, what, like 4 or 5 streams ago? Probably longer, is the shortcut down to New Londo, but it also has its own bonfire. Okay, this clearly isn't where... Oh, there it is. The fun thing about that is that I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I believe that the dragons, aggro radii means that they will de-aggro if you get far enough into New Londo, which means we can try and sprint past them, but there are a lot of them there. I keep getting warned about Gravelord's servants that just are not an issue for me. As I understand it, that covenant only affects you if you are in New Game Plus, which I'm not, so I never see the problems. But that seems strange. Why would you have it interact with players at all? Why would it tell you that the curse of the Gravelords is happening if it won't actually affect you? I suppose you can go and attack the Gravelord, but you know, why would you want to if you're not on that level and it's not causing you problems? It's only going to be causing problems for other players. I guess if you're a particularly civic-minded chosen undead, that might be useful. It's really easy to cheese these guys because they have a larger like gap between the ability to shoot them and being close enough to... There's got to be a better way to phrase that. There's kind of a Venn diagram between something being far enough away to not be hurt by your arrows and something being close enough to aggro when you hit it. Have you ever had like a wasp flying in front of your face and you just can't get rid of it and you keep waving your hands in front of your face and in the end you realise that you have to actually move your body physically to make it go away? That is the experience this Drake is having right now. This is also a total waste of time because I'm not going to cheese all of them like this. On the other hand, I'm reluctant to use all my spells. The Four Kings, the boss we'll be fighting, is very vulnerable to magic. I think he's one of the most magic vulnerable bosses in the game, which will be useful for us, a sorcerer. Especially considering we have already established that sorcery is by far the easiest way to beat bosses, considering that they do just tend to melt and we can output such an unfair amount of damage. Still, what exactly the Abyss is and what it's doing there and how it got there and what its deal is a mystery. It's not something the game really cares to go into. We know that the Abyss was in some way brought on by the discovery of darkness or interaction with the dark, but what that is and if that's even a bad thing is anyone's guess. We do know that something terrible happened here. However, did something terrible happen here and it was flooded to prevent that from spreading? Or was the terrible thing the fact that it was flooded? Because it seems like it's an awfully convenient cover story. If you can go, oh, well, we had to flood it, something terrible happened. Oh, witnesses? Yes, they've all drowned, every single one of them. Then, if you are a deity trying to prevent other deities from encouraging the natural course of the existence of the universe to continue, it seems awfully convenient. If you get a consistent timing, you get kind of a nice beat with this. Shooting 67 arrows at a Dragon Nightcore remix when? I have 800 arrows because I use arrows a lot, both for, as I've said many times, repositioning the AI, and occasionally like this for cheesing things that I can't be bothered to fight properly. But the problem is, I tend never to remember what my arrow count is. So in the early game, I'll buy 400 or so arrows and work my way through them. But inevitably, I run out at the worst time when I'm somewhere that I really need arrows. Which means that the first time that happens, I go to the nearest arrow vendor and... are we backing up now? Okay. Oh, okay, that lingers. Interesting. Not the usual behaviour of lightning, but whatever. So, what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, so I tend to... As soon as that happens once, I will buy... I just go, and however much arrows I can buy with the souls I have is what I spend. Which is usually enough to get like 800 or 900, and then that usually sees me through the rest of the game. And then I never have to worry about forgetting ever again. Yeah, strangely enough, me too. The way it works in my household is that nobody buys toilet paper until there's one roll left, at which point we buy 2 24 packs, and thus the cycle continues, a new Kalpa. And the life path of the universe extends through itself once again, and we progress all the way around until eventually the end of all things arrives and we run out of toilet paper again. But the main reason that I buy so many arrows is that if I run out of arrows one time, it will probably be about 4 times of me realizing I've run out of arrows before I actually remember to buy any. Due to my memory problems, because I'm terrible at remembering things. So I'll attempt to reposition an AI, realize I'm out of arrows, get slapped off a cliff, and in the process of running back to where I was, forget that I ran out of arrows and do the exact same thing again. If I remember correctly, these corpses lying around on the ground are not there before you open the gate, which I really like as a detail. Huh, I didn't know you could go up there. It's just another element of that incredible attention to detail that this game's designers have. Of course, if you have 10,000 corpses at the bottom of an underwater lake created in order to... Oh, hello, what's this? Dragon scale, nice. Didn't know you could farm that those off these guys. Those are the upgrade material for the Dragon Servant Covenant, and you can they can invade other players to steal them. But they're also used to upgrade the dragon weapons, of which there are a handful in the game, I think most of which are achieved by cutting off a dragon's tail. Well, gee, thanks. If I fail to parry this guy, actually, that's gonna be a problem. Weak, pathetic, terrible. Last time I ran in here, I killed him in one hit. That's Dark Souls, baby. So this guy is the first Dark Wraith you run into. The Dark Wraiths are the people of New Londo who descended into the Abyss, and rather than being destroyed by it, became one with it in some way. Or at least that's what we're told. Or possibly they're creatures of the Abyss that have escaped from the Abyss, and apparently New Londo was flooded to seal them off so that they could not escape. Although, I mean, being drowned eternally doesn't seem to have given them any trouble, so I'm not entirely sure what the issue was. I don't see why they couldn't swim upwards. Maybe it's just that their armor is too heavy and they're too proud to take it off. What we will learn in another cycle of the universe, another Kalpa, is that those guys, they do actually have a deal. They do have something that's going on with them, and they are the servants of Darkstalker Kath, who is the guy who is the opposite of our horrible friend, the Moustache Serpent, Kingseeker Frampt. What Frampt tells us is that, you know, Gwyn's the chief god, everything's good, he means well, and his whole deal is that we need to reset the universe, or prolong the universe rather, by resetting the bonfires. So why don't you be a good little minion and go help out and do that, and then as a part of that become new chief god? Won't that be fun? It's understandable to trust him because he kind of follows the traditional path of the RPG protagonist, or at least he gives it to you rather for you to follow. But yeah, when you complete Dark Souls, you find out that your ultimate goal has in some way betrayed you, and that you are merely a patsy, which no one really wants to be. That was close. And yeah, so if you come down here and defeat the four kings before ever placing the Lord Vessel, you can meet Darkstalker Kath. Why you would do this, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there is actually any hint in the game about this secret path. Most of the weird side things and secret things have some kind of a hint that allows you to discover their existence, but yeah, I don't recall one for Darkstalker Kath. Anyway, if you defeat the four kings without placing the Lord Vessel outside of the big door under Filing Shrine at the behest of Kingseeker Frampt, what will happen is that when you beat the four kings, Kath will be there. And he's another primordial serpent, and what he says is, actually, primordial serpents exist to facilitate the life cycle of the universe. There's a lot of us, and it's our job to make sure that, you know, the wheel of time spins on, that eventually the Age of Fire fades and an Age of Dark happens, and we cycle our way through all the different ages and start over again with a new flame from the beginning. And you know why the world is extremely fucked up? It's because Frampt became personal friends with Gwyn, and being friends with Gwyn has been intentionally trying to prolong Gwyn's time of ascendancy. And this is widely considered to be a dick move. So, hey, why don't you do what I say, and instead of linking the bonfire, you allow the bonfire to go out, allow the Age of Dark to descend, and allow the universe to continue as it was intended, and as it was always meant to, and incidentally, by doing so, you'll prevent the further sacrifice of the chosen undead. You will prevent the undead curse itself from continuing to propagate. I don't know what that means, but have fun, I guess. And yeah, so that seems like a pretty good idea, a pretty raw deal. And then he goes, oh, by the way, also, would you like to invade and murder other human beings and take their power for your own? isn't that the fundamental nature of humanity? Isn't that a cool thing to do? Here, have a nice glove. And then he gives you a magic glove that lets you suck the humanity out of other players. So it seems like it's kind of... more than anything else, it reminds me of... what would you call it? The trend in narrative media to have a topical villain who has a lot of opinions about, you know, whether or not capitalists are destroying the world, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, or you know, anti-racism or anything like that. And so, you know, the player or the viewer is going, hey, actually this villain's making some pretty reasonable points, and then the villain is like, also, as a part of my quest to achieve liberation for the working people of the world, I'm going to murder this baby. And then the viewer goes, oh no, I was kind of starting to agree with them, but now I don't agree with them anymore because they murdered a baby. Well, I know that wouldn't affect you, Jules, but that's because you're abnormal. So then, yeah, you go... It's this really irritating and really consistent propaganda tool that's used constantly. The Marvel movies do it constantly. You have a villain who makes a bunch of reasonable socialist talking points and then, just like this, stabs a baby. And implies that it's an integral part of their plan that something terrible has to be done to everybody. Yeah, so... I like to imagine that Darkstalker Cath has a similar situation. Because he makes a lot of reasonable points, and then he's like, by the way, you know those guys who just, like, drain the humanity out of you and it sucks ass? Yeah, well, those are my buddies. Would you like to be one of them? Anyway, there's about 5 or 6 of them down here. I actually tend to use this... on one of my first playthroughs of Dark Souls 3, I actually used the Dark Wraith sword as my main weapon for most of the game. I actually really liked its moveset. Youch. That, by the way, is the magic glove. You can use it as a shield, like that, or you can use it as... They have these cool spinny attacks, you see? I think it's neat. Or you can use it to suck someone's life out. I believe there is a second shortcut that we can unlock somewhere around here. Also, we do have to keep an eye out for ghosts, because even though they're not supposed to be down here, the aggro radii for the ghosts up above are big enough that occasionally you can clip through the bottom of one and they'll start drifting downwards, gently, like a plastic bag caught in an updraft. There's like 2 guys. There's one. There he is. Oh, you think you're all that, huh? Oh yeah, that thing has like 100% magic resistance. Yeah, that's not going to do nothing. Fortunately, it has a really long animation time, so it's actually pretty easy to kill a guy while he's trying to suck your energy out. Also, they drop Titanite chunks, and sometimes they drop 2 of them. This is the best place to farm chunks if you want chunks. Farming chunks sounds like a euphemism. Also, that glob of stuff over there, I'm not sure there is a canonical explanation for what it is, but I believe it's kind of supposed to be the agglomerated suffering of everybody who drowned horribly here. It shoots goop at you, spikes come out of it, it's a bad scene, all things considered. Also, it makes tortured souls appear, which will then explode. These are the same as the ones in the catacombs, however the ones in the catacombs are presumably related to the catacomb dead, and this is just some guy. It's just a big weird guy. And now he is no more. Big weird guy defeated. Ah, this guy thought he was going to get the drop on me, but no. I could just blast him into atoms with the soul spear, but I'll need all of those to kill the boss. They're also really easy to backstab. One thing I really love about them is the design of their armor. It doesn't really look like anything else in the game. They've got a really unique look to them. Although, not a unique look overall. They're one of the more strongly referential enemies to late lamented Miura's famous manga series Berserk, which was a major influence on Dark Souls. And was itself, much like Dark Souls, an attempt to do a Japanese take on Western fantasy that wasn't descendant from the kind of like Japanized Western fantasy, which I believe I've talked about previously, which is an interesting subgenre unto itself, but is very Japanese in flavour, despite being ultimately inspired by Western fantasy to begin with. I think there's ghosts up here. I mean, if there's anywhere there's going to be ghosts, it's going to be up here. But you know what? I can tell you they don't have a ghost of a chance. Ho ho ho. Oh, I'm not human. Shit. Okay, well that's extremely irritating. That means I need to go back and become human again. I'm just going to homeward bone to the bonfire and then head out again. Berserk is complicated. I've read, I think, 2/3 of Berserk. It is good. It is also very, very, very gory and very, very, very violent. And I think the artist had a particular interest in depicting extreme gore and extreme sexual violence in beautiful detail, shall we say, which is itself kind of, I think, thematically intended to emphasize the horror itself, but it's interesting. However, I actually think it loses its spirit about I don't know, halfway through. Early on, it's very, very, very dark, and it remains very, 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 very dark. And it's this kind of like, you know, hell exists and inquisitions exist, but like everything else is kind of mysterious. And then after a certain point, you get a major plot arc that involves, you know, the sort of Western fantasy nations recovering from their stupid internecine wars, being attacked by a enormous empire, which is inspired by classical India. And I mean, I can't say for sure on this, but it seems like it's depicted pretty racistly. It's hard to judge what is caricature and what is like, you can't do that. That's not okay. But also, you know, there's a whole lot of like worship of cannibal religion and stuff. And at the same time, it starts pulling in a lot more high fantasy elements, which kind of changes the tone completely. It stops being this sort of very grim, grimy story about a man who is literally too angry to die, getting the absolute shit kicked out of him by demons. And, you know, it stops being as lonely and it loses its griminess, and it sort of becomes about aforementioned incredibly angry man and his diverse group of friends. And, you know, various children that he's saved, and a, like, 9-year-old little witch character who casts magic spells and is an actual spellcaster. And this is all kind of just dumped on the reader out of nowhere. It's kind of just announced to you that, oh, by the way, like, even though every time magic has shown up in this story so far, it has been, you know, like, oh, this person has made a pact with a devil in order to do magic, and that's what magic is. By the way, also, like, traditional, like, elemental magic through, like, that is very kind of D&D-ish kind of is a thing, by the way, and we never mentioned it. Also, there's only, you know, it's been around the whole time, but there's only like one person who does it anymore, and it's this 9-year-old. And the pattern of the stories and also the style of the fight scenes at that point also becomes much more kind of modern shonen in style, which I kind of didn't like either. One of the things I really enjoyed about it was that it had this very kind of brutal, not to say one of the banned words of you know, game design discussion, but very visceral kind of feel to it. Everything was heavy and weighty and very kind of painful, you know, and it gets replaced with this kind of like very, I'm going to yell my attack and go, and then you'll block it and you'll be like, huh? My attack could never be blocked by mortal magic. And it's like, yeah, I guess maybe that's one way to put it. I can't speak about the second half of it because that's where I am currently. There's sort of like 4 major stages of it. There's the like early experimental manga where it's this very dark, grim, grimy, gritty thing, and then it continues being dark, grimy, and gritty where it has a like extremely long flashback sequence that's like, literally like 150 chapters long, where we find out about what happened to between the protagonist and the antagonist, and we see how the guy had this big old plan to save the world and ended up making a pact with a demon and sacrificing 1,000 people he loved to it, which caused a great deal of terrible things to happen, and is why the main character is on a quest of vengeance to go fuck that guy up. And then after that, it goes into this thing where the Indian-themed nation invades, and the villain of the flashback arc is kind of presented as being, oh, okay, I guess he did this terrible, terrible thing in order to get the power to save the world from these worse guys. And I don't know where it goes ultimately with that plot line, but it was strange, and I think it kind of lost what made it special. Maybe it gets it back later, but just the kind of the adorable 9-year-old, you know, enchantress, and the young like 14-year-old swordsman who looks up to the main character and wants to learn to fight just like him and all that kind of stuff. And it starts having these like really kind of generic manga fourth wall breaking gags where the gag character starts pretending to be like a modern accountant or whatever, and I don't know, it just, the tone changes a lot, and the style of the combat changes a lot, and the style of the storytelling changes a lot, and I thought it really lost something special when that happened. People clearly continued to love it though, which is interesting, so I do intend to go back and finish reading it at some point. It also has the power curve escalation problem, which it didn't so much have in the earlier arcs, and then in the later arcs it's kind of like, you remember that thing that was the most powerful thing that ever existed that was really difficult to deal with? Well, there's another thing that's more powerful than that, and then we'll deal with that relatively easily. And then there's another thing that's more powerful than that, even though it's also presented as just being a relatively normal thing that is just here, you know? Anyway, that's that's my mediocre opinion about Berserk. But it does have a character I really enjoy, which the fan community seems to have no real consensus on who he is and what his deal is, but he seems very clearly to me to be the modern iteration of a character from the ancient past who's been talked about a fair bit. Anyway, that guy is the Skeleton Knight, I think, and he dresses a lot like these guys. Oh, I never read the manga of Claymore, but I did watch the anime. I quite enjoyed it. I liked the sort of dark tone, but I also thought it got kind of ridiculous. Oh, an item. Oh, that's a problem. Am I gonna die? No, I'm fine. Fortunately for me, he had no humanity for him to steal from me. Well, I had no humanity for him to steal from me. That's what I meant to say. Lloyd's Talisman, interesting. Ah, interesting, yeah. Yeah, one of the other ways the tone in Berserk changes is that it goes from its darkness being a kind of like, not realism really, but a kind of like a griminess based on, you know, like medieval reports of what witches do, and what demons are and do, and then sort of becomes very, very cartoonish later, where it's oh yeah, this guy has stitched an artificial womb 100 meters wide in order to grow monsters in, and it's this kind of like wailing, pulsating mass, but it's presented quite. It's a production line. There's just, you know, captured pregnant mothers being dunked in it to turn their babies into monsters. It's I don't know. It develops some more modern sensibilities, I guess, in its storytelling style, but that's actually somewhat harmful to what made it special as a story. I wonder if Claymore was heavily inspired by Berserk. I mean, I feel like it must be. It never occurred to me before, but Berserk, the manga that is notably about a guy with a very, very large sword fighting very, very particularly nasty monsters. And Claymore, the story about a woman with a very, very large sword fighting increasingly very nasty monsters. I wonder if there's some kind of potential intertext there going on. Anyway, having completely alienated any fans of Berserk, because I did see a huge outpouring of grief when the creator died, and it is tragic, but also I do feel like Berserk stopped being what it was. Where the hell is the staircase? How did I get up here? I'm stuck and I can't get down. Oh, it's around this corner. I suppose I could have just dropped off, but sorry, I will occasionally go quiet while I'm trying not to be unwell. I'm not doing okay tonight. I don't know why, but I'm not. So we've nearly cleared out New Londo, and I had this whole piece when I went through this area on my old Let's Play many years ago about how it was unusual for this kind of like horrible sacrifice to be presented in such dark detail. But to be honest, thinking about it now, it's like, it's not that strange, it's not that impressive, it's not that weird to have this kind of like, you know, we drowned 10,000 people to seal off an evil place, here are their piles of corpses. I've played a lot of games that have piles and piles of corpses, you know, kind of clawing desperately to escape the water. I think it's depicted in greater detail and in a fascinatingly kind of, there's more heart to it. There's more of an intent to show the horror of these people clawing their way up the walls to try and get out of the water. But it's far from the first and far from the last big pile of corpses in a video game. Also, as always, there's a hint to show that there's an illusory wall somewhere, and here it is just the fact that you can straight up see that there is another side to this. It feels like those keep off the grass gates, that's just a gate but with no barrier. So long. You know, if falling in the water was harmful to these guys, why the fuck are they still here after they've been drowned for 1,000 years? Answer me that, lore masters of YouTube. Anyway, the reason why I went all the way back to become a human again is because there is a summonable NPC to come help fight the boss we're about to go fight. And I like to summon in the ones I can. You're ahead? Yep. It sure is, bro. No, I can't apparently give that a nice positive upvote, but whatever. Oh, is there something down here? Yes, it's a guy who wants to try and murder me. Unfortunately, I am the murderer. It's me. I'm the guy who does the murders. It's me. I'm the murderer. Hee 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 hee. Is that? That's where we came in. I thought there was an item up here that we had to come all this way around to get, but apparently not. So we should be at the very end of this zone, and we should be... I know that it is... Oh wait, hang on, no, there's another one of these things first, and then like a couple more rooms. I think there might be a Dark Wraith in here as well. There he is. And ghosts! Hi ghosts, nice to meet you. Two Dark Wraiths, two ghosts, and a big jelly guy. That seems more to deal with than is entirely fair. Oh hey! Hiya, I hope you enjoy the rest of this stream. I'm fighting slimy things. Which I do quite a lot. We good? You alright? Yeah, it's fine. I've always wondered if the disembodied heads here and in the catacombs are actually traditional beloved trick of game designers everywhere, an NPC with an invisible body and a visible head. It would not surprise me if that were the trick used to make them work as NPCs in this game, but I I do think it's hilarious every time that that is used. Ah. Thought you had me, but no. I can kill inside walls now. For the love of God, Montresor. Crunchy, crunchy. Oh, can she see me? A tragedy. More Titanite chunks. These will come in handy for when we want to chunk some Titanite. But yeah, Bina, if you like slimy things, you came to the right place, because everything down here is extremely grody. There is some quality to the texturing of this area that, like, I've been in places with damp, wet, mossy stone in the past, and it has a very distinctive smell. I feel like I can smell the, smell what it's like down here. So, the specific reason why I wanted to make sure I went back and became human was to be able to summon in Witch Beatrice for this fight. That's not just because, you know, it's nice to have a second person for a fight, and it's not just because the fight we're going to do, they're very weak to sorcery. I've got my own sorceries, but hey, this is a sorcerer to help us fight. It's also because if we, it's also because after this fight, we can find her corpse. Because, unlike most of the characters who have plot lines that are advanced by you interacting with them in various areas... What the fuck is she fighting? Is she fighting a ghost? I don't think she's cursed. I wish she would not fight a ghost. Now I need to go kill the ghost. Beatrice, what are you doing? Look, I'll take care of it if you just would save the rest of your blasts for the boss, okay? Is there another... Beatrice, be real with me. Is there another ghost? No? Are we okay? You gonna come with me? It's like managing a toddler, honestly. This is actually, this is actually the sort of bell tower that could be seen when we were in Upper New Londo that about 7 ghosts came out of. So it makes sense that they will chase you down from above. And I had better remember to do this before we go into the boss fight if I'm not wearing the Covenant of Artorias, which allows me to traverse the abyss, as you can see. We just die instantaneously on entering the boss fight. Beatrice, however, has no such problem. I don't know if she's, like, just always wearing the ring, or if she's an NPC who's immune to it for some reason. I don't know. So this is the one boss fight that dropping into does not actually cause us to take damage, which is nice. And also makes sense considering we're just in the infinite blackness of the void rather than somewhere that actually has a floor for us to stand on, or indeed fall on. Fun fact about the Four Kings. Actually, fun fact about the Four Kings, I'm using the wrong shield. Whoopsie daisy. I tell you what, I'll tell you the fun fact after I fight the boss, because if I talk while I'm fighting a boss, I tend to get distracted. It spawns an infinite number of these guys, I think. They each have their own health bar, and then they have a shared health bar. He dodged? My special attack. Well, I hope he enjoyed munching on me. It shall be his last. I really like the design of these guys. They spawn at set intervals, but there's not actually 4 of them. More than 4 can spawn, depending on how much damage you do as you go through. Which is kind of funny. But there's actually a secret fifth king who lives underneath the floor of the combat arena. And it's his job to be the kind of the holder of the health pool at the bottom of the screen. So these guys are actually separate NPCs with their separate hit point bars. They're just also coded to do identical amounts of damage to the hidden guy underneath every time he takes every time one of these upstairs guys takes damage. Which is another very common kind of video games workaround. It doesn't have a system coded in hard for the is that there he is. Coded in hard for the way to have like multiple NPCs share a single hit point bar. So instead, a workaround. Love a workaround. Speaking of workarounds, let's not die. That should be the end of him. They're not unexplained exactly. We know that the four kings were the kings of New Londo, and it was they who succumbed to the temptation of the darkness, which then brought the abyss out of them. So we know that much, and it's reasonable to assume, therefore, that they look the way they do because of corruption from the abyss. But I do really like their design. There's a sort of a tree, ghost, elf lord look to them. They don't really look like anything else in the game, and I do think they're beautiful. Time to stick some levels. Where are we going to put them? I did say I was going to stick it all in dexterity from this point, but I'm low-key tempted to take another attunement slot. I probably shouldn't. It says I have 6 attunement slots, but I've only got 3 things equipped. That's weird. I'm just going to put it all in dexterity. And then check and see if I have an attunement slot. 1, 2... Oh, right, of course. But I've got 2 of these, so it doubles up. That's why. Right, now that we've got that, we can head back upstairs, and it's time to run around tidying up side quests. There's 2 zones that we haven't checked out. There's 1 zone and 1 boss that we haven't dealt with, I think. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, and then the DLC as well, actually. Oops, I'm 1,000 souls off. I really wish it just said on these how many souls you get when you would activate them. It's a huge nuisance this way around, in my opinion. Right. Time to warp. So, the places left to go are Ash Lake, which I think I went previously, I'm not sure. I don't see a teleport here. The easiest way to get there is going to be to go via Daughter of Chaos. Then we can go fight Gwyndolin, the least deserving it entity that we... Well, okay, like the 7th least deserving it entity that we can kill in this game. And after that, we'll go do the DLC, which I find kind of irritating and a pain in the arse, but we're playing completionist, so... Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Playing video games when you have memory problems from ADHD is... I assume it's from ADHD, is, it's a thing. It's a whole ass thing. 18... Is 18 a quarter of 72? 18 plus 18 is 36? That doesn't sound right. 18 and 18 is 10, and then... Yeah, it's 36. And 36 and 36 is 72. Yes, okay, so I can go up to 18 weight of items. Wow, congratulations. Good for you. Right, I want to put some trousers on because I think this outfit looks silly without them. But everything has worse stats, pretty much. Oh, that's actually better, huh? All of my other trousers are in the bin. Looks like it's skirts or nothing. Tempting as nothing is. Let's wear the black tights, because we're stylish. Ah, how about that fit? That's a good look. I sacrifice a few points of protection, but this is Fashion Souls. Incidentally, I'm sure that there is literally no one watching who this applies to, but if you haven't, please go check out my YouTube channel. I do in-depth, episode-by-episode Let's Plays, carefully planned and researched, of video games. I don't know if you've heard of them, they're really cool. It's this new art form that's emerged across the last 30 years where it's like movies, but you get to make them do stuff. And yeah, make sure you drop me a follow on here, because I stream 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and at 7 PM UK time. Also, I'm just really cool and really good at video games, and you should love me. Oh, wow, I can't believe that worked. Right, here we are, back in the armpit of the world. Ah, so it was you, I see. So what we're going to do is sprint across this horrible, stinky, gross swamp, occasionally stabbing things, occasionally exploding things with our minds. Well, I mean, I was going to say the ass crack of the world, which would have been much more appropriate, but I'm too classy for that. Oh wait, no, this is just that you have an armpit fetish, of course. I always forget. Anyway, this guy's down here. I mentioned him last stream, but here he is. Well, but this is the place where the Stinky Swamp is. Like, oh shit. Did they just... That guy took a hit from one of these things and just did not give a shit. But this is the place, like, this is the horrible Stinky Swamp where the depths let out. The depths are the sewers of the entire world, and they drain into this swamp. So I think that calling this the asshole is fairly reasonable. Maybe it's the colon of the world. Which is the part of your body that's full of poop, right? Like, this is, you see this is not water. Absolutely is not water.
We meet again. I have the equipment if you have the need.
So this guy sells a whole bunch of weapons, some of which drop and some of which don't. I think his inventory might actually be based on the things you've killed. So, for instance, these are... Oh, god damn it. Would you stop? Would you stop? I really need to get some anti-mosquito spray. Yeah, there sure are a lot of gross swamps in Dark Souls games. My favourite thing is in Dark Souls 3, where you work your way through the gross stinky swamp, and it leads to a gross stinky swamp. And then you get through the gross stinky swamp, and then later in the game there are 2 more gross stinky swamps. Like, say what you want about Miyazaki. He does like a swamp. I wonder if the pyromancy trainer's down here now, actually. She appears... There's the highest level pyromancy trainer is a sort of a witch who shows up down here. She's actually the one surviving unmutated, unmonstrous, non-gross survivor of the Witches of Izalith. She has some interesting facts that she can tell us if she's here, which she might not be because I didn't buy all of Laurentius's pyromancies. Yep, I think she normally spawns over here and just sits here forever. Or, well, it's one of these pillars. Well, yeah, no, there is one other, but I did kill her, and presumably she's corrupted in some way. Flitter, flutter, flutter, flitter. Come down here. I'll kill you quicker. Oh, I'm poisoned again, naturally. Back at it again at the Krispy Kreme. Actually, since I'm here, I might as well kill these things. I mean, sure, maybe she's just protecting her mother, but her mother by that point is the source of mindless abominations that like to try and kill vast numbers of people on the surface of the world, so I think at that point it's understandable for me to, you know, end it. For all that I complain about Gwyn and all of his horrible bullshit. He does seem to have had a reasonable degree of investment in protecting the people in the world under his control. Because that's what you really want in a divine royal authority, isn't it? Like, yes, they do have complete and utter control of over your entire existence. However, on the other hand, you know, if demons start marching out of the underworld, he will send in the legions of his... How can I not? There we go. Of his knights to go deal with them, which is just, you know, it's what you want, really. Can't imagine a Tory government doing that. Give me drops. I want green titanite. But yeah, so you can actually learn a few interesting facts about the primordial history of the world from Quaylana? Quay something? Let's see, we've got Quaylag, who we killed. Quaylag's sister, whose name we never know. It must be Quaylana, right? I can't remember. They've all got Quay names. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder who that was. Thanks for letting me know. Oh, another one. Okay, so some stuff's definitely throwing itself to its death for some reason, but I don't know what or where. There's a ton of items that we can pick up in this zone. However, they can be a pain in the ass to grab, and they're not amazing, so I'm not going to bother. Can I hit that? I'm too slow. Oh, I got him. Ha-ha. Ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. The turtle hunt continues. Oh, I've missed. Fuck. And it's gone. I think this has the highest density of crystal lizards per zone in the game. There's a ton of them around here, and they're all quite hard to catch. So as useful as it is to catch them, we won't be overstressing ourselves. We've, of course, already got the Chloranthe ring, which, not that I've used it very often, which was hidden in that tree trunk. But, yeah. Red titanite. Delicious. So, yes, this is one of these secret extra zones. When we first unlocked it, I talked about why and how it's hidden, and the interesting ways in which it's hidden. But we've got it open, so we're just going to charge through and kill these things, because they're terrible and we hate them. Must be a lot of ancient primordial stuff to metabolize around here. How else are you going to build an ecosystem based around curses? But, yeah, so we've got this zone, and then we've got the DLC, and we've also got, what am I forgetting? The bonus boss of Anor Londo, and there's definitely an item around here that I saw, but I don't know where it's gone. And, yes, Sen's Fortress. We can go back and obliterate several Titanite demons. Oh, I saw it again. Okay, this is getting silly. I know there's an item around here somewhere. I'll give you a count of 3. If you don't show me where the item is, you're going to get sent to your room with no dinner. There it is. I can't believe that. Oh, fuck. Playing Dark Souls is like managing an unruly toddler. Oh, you've... fuck off. The Abyss. Fuck off. Fuck off. I knew I should have rested at that bonfire. Oh well. I always forget about that. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come back after we go do the other thing. If we go to... Where is the Undead Parish? Why isn't it on here? Oh, there it is. I am just fucking blind. So let's go kill some stuff in Sen's Fortress and then head back. I'm not going to bother turning human because I'm just going to kill stuff and come back to a bonfire anyway, and there's no summons around. That's not the way to Sen's Fortress. Hi, Andre. Don't think I had very much in my bloodstain. I don't think I did. Anyway, yeah, so... It's a fun, interesting challenge, by which I mean a frustrating thing to get trapped and die in. But that's Dark Souls, baby. $1,008. I broke the 1,000 barrier. Nice. I love to do vast amounts of damage to giant snake men. Get sorcered. A lot of people must be playing tonight. There's a lot of bell ringing, which I assume you know, but maybe you don't, means that someone has rung one of the bells of awakening, which are the two early, well, I suppose specifically the parish bell. And those are the two early objectives of the game. Actually, now that we're very close to the end of this one, I should start canvassing for opinions about what to play next. I think I will put a poll on Twitter and see what people say, what people want. There are several options about what might be my next main streaming game. I think I would like to do a bit of variety streaming in between. There's a few different things to play for a week or so. But then after that, oh, there's options. My goodness, there's options. What are they? Well, you'll have to go check on my Twitter and find out. And tender a vote of some kind. Right, that's these dipshits dead. I keep hoping that one's going to step off and fall down, but it hasn't yet. Right, let's see how much damage we can really do with a Crystal Soul Spear. And the... ooh, I should put the Bellowing Ring on. Yes. Oh, hang on, I'd have to take this one off. Do I want to walk extremely slowly while fighting tough monsters? No. So I guess it's going to have to be ordinary amounts of sorcery. Was that more than half his hit points? Nope. Remember how tough these things were? I love leveling up. So I think I will actually write down a short list, and then I will put the poll up on Twitter, and then I'll make sure to actually read the short list next stream for anyone who's interested in what it might be. Mist. Ha! Speaking of Mist, I've actually got the first episode of that Let's Play recorded. I haven't edited it up yet because I'm finishing making the title page for it, which I have decided to paint myself rather than Photoshop out of pre-existing game art, because I've started to worry that I'll get in trouble for doing that at some point. Oh, these ones are tougher. Yeah, I'm actually going to be playing the, well, not the original. I'm going to be playing Real Mist, which is the first re-release of Mist, which is the original game with, I think, 2 mechanical additions, but not real... No, I'll be playing Mist Masterpiece Edition, which is the first re-release, rather than Real Mist, which is a remake, or the modern re-release, which has changed the art massively. Well, I've been bested once again. Oh, yeah, sure. If you message me on what do you call it? On the messaging system that I use. If you message me on the popular messaging app that I use, whatever the fuck it's called, I'll see the message afterwards and get back to you. Because otherwise I won't remember. Discord, that's the one. Congratulations. Go me. Oh my god. Nouns, just can't remember them. See, that's actually one of the reasons why I'm going to do this Let's Play. I feel like there's a lot of iconic games that are sort of foundational to different genres, or foundational to games as a medium, or important to the development of games as, like, the history of it as a medium. A lot of those games people go back and play in the modern day. You know, people go back and play Doom now, not just because it's popular as like a boomer shooter type dealy. Well, see, one of the fun things about people who know me IRL is that, which I suppose all of you do, is that it's quite often hard to tell whether I'm doing a bit or whether I really am just fucking empty in my brain pan. But I feel like nobody goes back and plays Myst. Everybody my age remembers Myst, and lots of people my age who are into games as a thing remember playing it as a kid, but I don't feel like 16-year-olds are going back and playing Myst, and they are going back and playing Doom. And, like, Myst and Doom came out in the same year. It was the two of them together that were the driving force behind the adoption of home CD drives, in fact. And, like, Myst was the best-selling PC game for over a decade. And yet, nobody really remembers it, or people remember it but don't think about it very much. People don't necessarily go back and play it. Like, this was like a 7-game series with an MMO as well. Like, it was insanely popular in the 90s. Doom originally came out on floppies, but it was re-released on CD, I believe. Which I think was also the case with Myst. I'm not sure if you needed a CD drive. I should look this up, actually. I did my research, but it's in my notes somewhere, but I haven't checked them today. But, oh no, I know what I'm thinking. Riven, the sequel to Myst, came out on 7 separate CD-ROMs, which were eventually combined into a single DVD release. That's what I'm thinking of. That's too far away. I'm going to miss. Yep. Way to waste a soul spear, dipshit. So let's take it a bit more cautiously this time and not die like a fool. No reason not to completely fucking waste one of my limited uses of my healing potions, but whatever. But yeah, Myst is fascinating, and Riven, the sequel to Myst, as it is entertainingly subtitled, is actually one of my favourite games of all time, and one of the first PC games I fell in love with. Get wrecked. So that's a large amount of Demon Titanite for us to never use, because we're never going to use a demon weapon. I don't think there's anything else down here. Which means it's time to get the fuck back to where we were before. How do we do that? Teleporting. Hmm. 169,000. Nice. Well, I'm getting tired of nice, actually. I'm getting tired of nice. Aren't you tired of saying nice? Don't you just want to go apeshit? I know that I had a great deal of trouble playing Myst as a kid. When I was in my, like, 20s, I went back and, I completely forgot about this. So, after the 3rd time you defeat Kirk, the Knight of Thorns, his body appears here. So, presumably, it's not an illusory wall. That's a liar. And you get his armor set and his shield, I think. And this is the first time that you can get that stuff. I suppose it means he has ultimately lost in his goal. People reckon he's a member of this covenant because his corpse is found here, and he is a very persistent invader. I think he's the only invader in the game who invades 3 times. So it's reasonable to infer that perhaps he was a servant of the Pale Lady who desperately needs that humanity in order to ease her suffering. There is something beautiful and tragic about the idea of this knight, thought of by the people he preys upon as this, like, foul, evil, cruel knight dressed in an armour coated in thorns, who shows up and takes your humanity away. But then this softer side of him, of his devotion to this person, and all he really ever wants to do is make her pain go away. But yeah, so, I actually decided that Myst would be my next Let's Play a few months ago, right before I got sick with COVID the second time. So, my plan then was that I would do it as a fun side project while continuing to work on my Dishonored Let's Play, and that then when I finished the Dishonored Let's Play, I could have a nice little holiday where I would already have a, 2 weeks worth of episodes lined up to play through Myst. But within like a week of doing my research, I fell ill with COVID round 2 and went on hiatus on YouTube, which is why I'm still on hiatus, because recovering from COVID is extremely fucking difficult. And I have very little ability to do anything day to day. Which is why I started streaming again first, actually. While streaming is actually more physically intensive for obvious reasons, because it's harder to talk for 2 hours while playing a game than to talk for half an hour while playing a game, the sort of like psychological effort is a lot less, because I can just boot up a game and start playing it. I don't feel like I have a burden of research. I don't script my Let's Play episodes, but I do plan lists of talking points based on which areas I'm going to be visiting, that kind of thing. And the burden of editing is a lot higher as well, so because of all of that, I still haven't resumed my Let's Plays, even though I really want to. I hate being on hiatus. And it's been like 3, nearly 4 months now that I've been on hiatus, which is bad. Bad for audience retention, bad for growth, bad for my emotional state, because my goodness do I rely on the dopamine of people going, oh wow, I enjoyed this episode. But, yeah, all of that aside, I do actually have an episode of Myst ready to go as soon as I finish painting the title page. I actually always planned to paint title pages for my Let's Plays, but I've struggled with visual art. I wanted to be a painter many years ago, but had to give up that dream for assorted reasons. So when I started making my Let's Plays, I ended up just photoshopping, game art. And I feel like if I'm editing the game art enough, that's fine, but at this point I'm starting to worry a little bit about using game title screens with my text edited over the top. Ones like for the streams of Resident Evil and Hardspace Shipbreaker, I feel like I've edited those enough to make them mine, but most of the YouTube Let's Plays, it's basically just the game's title page with some text shopped in. Oh, Can I... No, the twig was in the way. Ugh, another turtle escapes. It's just occurred to me I forgot to rest at the bonfire. This thing's a horrible, nightmarish pachinko machine. If you just want to go all the way from top to bottom without fucking up, you can. But if you see the items, you want the items, you try and get the items, you slip off a branch, you tumble, you bounce off of 3, and then end up on a spike. This is why it's a bad idea to climb trees in real life. I don't know if anyone's ever warned you of that, but it's true. I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. Anyway, I straight up don't remember if we went to the Ash Lake earlier in this Let's Play. Or I guess this is a stream. I like to differentiate between the Let's Plays and the streams, since my Let's Plays are kind of a thing unto themselves. Not to sound too arch, but I feel like it's reasonable to consider my Let's Plays set apart somewhat from playthroughs of games, since I do my research and I talk about the design history and the themes and all of this other stuff as we go through in carefully planned ways. Not to big myself up too much or anything. I guess this is just the like talk about how superior I am half hour, which we do while we run back because I died. Isn't that ironic? But yeah, there's something restful about Ash Lake. I really like it down there. It's actually one of my favourite areas in the game, even though it's very small and doesn't have a lot of stuff in. There's something about the sort of primordial music that plays in the background, and the dusty, sandy ocean. You know, it's nice to take a break in the age of stasis before time existed. And the one upside, of course, is that if time doesn't exist, you can have a break that's as long as you like. But, oh, the reason I mentioned that I was actually planning the Myst Let's Play before I got sick is that it was only in the last few weeks that the modern remaster re-release was put out on Steam of Myst, which was really low-key irritating to me. Like, I was going to do this before it was zeitgeisty. Now everyone's going to think I'm just picking up on the popular trend. It's not true. I promise. I'm cooler than that. I was just gonna bring up a forgotten gem. Now that I've actually rested at this bonfire, I'm ooh, that was close. Gonna be a little bit more reckless, because why not? Delicious. I always feel like the bloodstain probably has some kind of tangy apple flavour. That's what that colour association is in my brain. So, currently we are descending through is it the Great Hollow? I can never remember the names of these places. And this is actually the interior of the stump of one of the great arch trees. Firelank Shrine is built around and on top of the last remnant of an enormous tree. I personally like to believe that it's like one of the last remaining above ground arch trees, as we can tell when we visit the Ash Lake. Oh yeah, but I wasn't ahead of everyone because I haven't released that Let's Play because I got sick before I could start recording the episodes. Which means that now I'm going to be putting, you know, like, here's my Let's Play of Myst on YouTube, and it's like, oh, okay, this is the game from 1993, not the re-release from 2021. God, what year are we even in? That's one of the hardest items to grab in this area, as you can see, having just ricocheted off a branch once again. I think there's 4 or 5 of these down here. So from Ash Lake we can see that the world as we know it, the surface world, is merely a structure built on top of the matted branches of the arch trees of the world that was, which I really love as an idea. We come to this deep, dark, underground zone, and what do we discover? We discover that the world as we know it is just this fabrication, this thing that rests on a substrate constructed out of what came before. The arch trees were here before, they'll be here afterwards. The underpinnings of reality. I think this ladder goes somewhere useful, but I don't actually know. I mean, it's a ladder, it must be useful. These toads are called basilisks, if that helps you find them. I wouldn't be surprised if someone somewhere is making custom basilisk plushies. Is this a shortcut? What's up? What's the deal with this? What's the deal with ladders in unlikely places? It's just occurred to me that I've heard the what's the deal with airline food stereotype so many times, I don't actually know where you go with it next. There must be some kind of pattern to the way the gag proceeds. But I absolutely refuse to look up any kind of Jerry Seinfeld material, so I will never know. What's the deal with people making what's the deal with airline food jokes in 2021? Oh, okay. That was a bit riskier of a way down than I intended. Well, I mean, Seinfeld was part of the... I mean, I don't mean the show, I mean the guy. Was part of that big movement of observational comedy where the big switch over from you know, gag-based one-liner-based comedy to observational humour, and which is usually considered more sophisticated, kind of kicked off. But it's fascinating to me that, you know, I grew up at a time when that new form of comedy itself was growing stale and beginning to be mocked. Much like the airline food. fuck am I going? There was a thing. There's a really awkward branch to drop on, and I believe it's this one. Fuck. Shit. Well, I mean, that could have been worse. It's fine. Let's just go. Let's just go. I'm just leaving. I no longer wish to participate in this competition, sirs. This is the only other place in the game you find mushroom children. However, these ones are actually aggressive. Unlike the mushroom children in Darkroot, these ones will actually throw hands. Which is also irritating because that means their parents will also throw hands. Although I suppose, no, actually the parents are always aggressive. You don't have to aggro them. Did they just drop the fuck? Are they fine? Are they damaged? I can't tell. Rather than fight tough guys, I'm just going to zoom straight past them. Because that's the real tactic. That's the real cleverness. Also, if anybody watching is one of my Patreon patrons and hasn't noticed, it should have auto-pinged you with an email that there is 11 episodes now of a Let's Play series of a multiplayer game, which was supposed to be published on YouTube, but which I have decided is not quite up to my standards, so it's being relegated to one of the not for public release test series which I put up on Patreon as you know, just something cool that you might want to look at. So if you're interested in seeing me attempt to play Dominions 5, one of the most complicated and difficult multiplayer games in existence, yeah, 11 episodes up and more going up until I get knocked out of the game, which might be soon. So here we are. The Ash Lake, the infinite expanse of the underside of existence. I love the idea that by passing through this mystical gateway we are able to access this place. This underrealm. This liminal underpinning of the rest of reality. Also, there's a Hydra here. The second Hydra in the game. Well, that did nothing. So much like the other Hydra, we can blast away at it, but it's generally a good idea not to be locked on. What you want to do is wait for him to slam his heads down and not get knocked the fuck over. If you shoot it in the head when its heads are on the ground, you will be able to do a huge amount of damage. The difficulty is getting time to cast your spell before they zoom away. Oh hey, he's actually close enough that I can shoot his body. That's convenient. However, if you look closely, you can see a rigid edge in the water ahead of me. That is a cliff, and if I step off it, I will die instantaneously, so we're going to be careful about that. Oh, he's gone too far away again. Feels unfair. There we go, that'll hit him. As far as I can tell, the animation for loss of a head and the change to his model actually is based on whether or not you hit a head. If you don't manage to blast a head, it doesn't lose a head. Which should mean you can spam arrows at the center of its body and kill it and without ever losing its heads, but I haven't tried that lately. What the fuck? Oh, okay. One big danger is that the way the heads loop around and arc around and coil in a squiggly way is that they might sweep you off that ledge. However, the only way to get close enough to damage him is to stand within that strike zone. So this is once again one of those difficult and frustrating things to do in Dark Souls. In fact, I believe there is a bonfire down there on the other side, so if I sprint and unlock that first, I think that would be the smarter way to go. Rather than endlessly having to drop down through here over and over and over again. Oh wow, look. So many magic turtles, and I can't catch any of them. I can never remember how to get over there. But if I spam arrows, I should be able to kill them from here. And luckily, you can take their crystals, even if you are over here. It just goes in your inventory when they die. Nice. Looks like the other two ran away, but that's fine. Can I drop down here safely? I think I can. You know, for given values of safely. Is that bounce? No, we're fine. There was another one over there, but it's escaped, as they are wont to do. I mean, I really think if we could all bounce up and down a few times and then disappear, I think that we would use that skill constantly. I know I would. No, don't. No, that will kill us. Or will it? No, that will kill us. It's just occurred to me that we have the sorcery for shit. Today's stream, tidying up to prepare for endgame. Also, dying constantly. Okay. This time I blame my camera. I'm not entirely sure how that one happened. But yeah, so we do actually have the sorcery available that will reduce our falling damage. Technically, it prevents all falling damage, provided you were falling from a height that wouldn't have killed you, and therefore this won't help us, so I'm not going to bother equipping it. The risk here is that I will fall high enough for it to kill me. Oh, for fuck's sake. The other problem with this area is that these things are made out of fucking glass, and it's very easy to just kind of have your legs fly out from underneath you and fall to your instantaneous death as you ricochet off of several thick bowls on your way down. However, I think I can get this item, which I missed previously. By the way, did you find any plushies of the Dark Souls basilisks? Ooh, I see crystal lizards. And they're out of here. So yeah, there's about 10 of them around here in assorted positions. Magic turtle, magic turtle. That was close. It was close, but we're fine. Huh. You know, if you take this carefully and you look where you're going instead of just sprinting around like a lunatic, it's actually a lot easier. I don't know how I never guessed that before. Oh, beans. I still missed that one. I don't need to kill all of these things, but it's generally good practice because they will cause problems if they chase you down into the zone and spit cursing juice on you. Tragic. Also, a missed opportunity. Is there? Oh, hey, there's a thing. I did it. I have the thing. It's mine now. And I can drop on this. Or, well, he dodged. Which is cheating, I think. It's definitely cheating when someone else uses a magic potion. So I think it might also be cheating when people dodge. These are my abilities, the special player abilities. Oh, buddy. Oh, you did not have a good time, did you? In case anyone doesn't know, the game generates crystalline structures that are the corpses of other players who've died to Basilisk Curse. This guy appears to have slid down the ladder and died. Poor bastard. One of the reasons why that Hydra fight is so frustrating is that it can just sweep you off the edge very easily, and you have to be within the range for it to do that in order to fight it at all. But the mitigating factor is that we can do so much damage with Crystal Soul Spear that 4 Crystal Soul Spears will kill it, usually. So we just have to be able to hit it 4 times before it's able to hit us once. Precious child, precious mushroom children, where do you go? Whither do you wander? What mushroom mysteries have you for me today? Ow, fuck. Ow, fuck! Kind sirs, I'm a visitor in your land. I brought no harm. I brought no threat. I'm just kind of here. That was pretty close. I nearly didn't escape. There's not much room in there. There's that lovely primordial background music again. Of course, the risk with running first and fighting later is that it can spit water blobs at you, just like the other Hydra. And, those can kill you pretty effectively too. There's got to be I'm sure there's a fire over here somewhere. There's also, interestingly, some of the weird, what do you even call that? Clam things? It's like a demon clam. Which, the only other place we see those is in Seath's crystal zone. I think some people theorize that one of the things Seath turns young women into are these clam monsters. I'm not entirely sure what the basis for that belief is. I don't think there's any real connection there. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So that thing can actually fly up over the top, or I think maybe swim underneath. And I did not see him do it, which is a shame, because it's relatively rare. Still. Come on, lucky sevens, give us a nice safe place to rest. That's the opposite of a safe place to rest. That is, in fact, a basilisk. That's more basilisks. I think there's mushrooms down here as well. Hi! Do we have to fight? Why must it be this way? This world of strife and conflict. Mushroom strife for a mushroom wife. Mushroom hate in this mushroom life. Tragic. Here lies a mighty, mighty fellow. A true and noble warrior of mushroom kind. Oh, someone's just upgraded a bonfire, which means there must be a bonfire around here. I think it must be around the corner with the dragon, which also lives here. Some people suspect that the reason why the clam things are here is an indication that Seath is keeping an eye on the only remaining immortal dragon in the world. Which I think is a reasonable thing to infer. I don't like this. I hope it doesn't kill me. If it kills me, I might give up and go somewhere else. But generally speaking, his channelers are the people who keep an eye on things for him, literally, because they have 6. At least symbolically. So the fact that there isn't a channeler around kind of makes me think that that's not the case. However, if that's not the case, how did it get here? What is it doing here? What is it? Where is it? How it affect me? We should be safe from the Hydra now. All that remains is the path over here. I definitely remember talking about the Dragon Covenant on a previous stream, but I don't think we actually came down here. Well, well, well. Hello, hello, hello. Who is this? Well, hi there. Do you come here often? It never speaks, you can just choose to worship it. So joining that will let you level up by offering dragon scales, which we're not going to do. It will also let you invade other players to steal their dragon scales. Also, you can actually just cut his tail off. I believe he's indestructible and immortal, but you do get his tail. So, I guess he's pretty chill as gods go. They don't normally like it when you start to lop bits off them. But yeah, this is our only example of a true, actual immortal dragon. One of the things that fascinates me about them is that they have tiny heads. When you go to Anor Londo and you see the teeny tiny heads of the dragons up on the wall in there, it kind of feels like surely the dragons they were fighting can't have been much of a problem. Then you come to this guy and you see his head in proportion to the rest of his body and you're like, oh, okay, I guess they were fighting skyscraper-sized dragons with teeny tiny mouths. Which, if they are the immortal dragons, which are of course from the primordial time before time, well, a creature of stasis, born in the realm of stasis, doesn't need to eat. It doesn't need to anything. The prolongation of itself just happens naturally. Personally, I think that the reason why those oyster monsters are here is just because it's a beach. FromSoft do like to reuse material and weirdly remix their material during development. And so I think when adding a secret bonus zone, which is a big beach, you would pretty reasonably add the only aquatic monsters that you have. Such as big clams. It should be possible to actually ask them about some of the history, but unsurprisingly for an NPC in a Dark Souls game, they do tend to just clam up. I am going to try and focus a little bit. Well, it wasn't friendly fire because they're NPCs from different, Oh, he's taking way less damage now than he did before. They are NPCs from different factions, which means that they can happily destroy each other. Also, when I clipped inside its head for a moment there, you could see that it had, you could see the texture of the severed neck, but I hadn't yet severed. One or two more hits should do it. No, okay, don't go over there, that's going to be a mistake. I might need to fight this somewhere else at this stage. I'm not sure what the, game structure thing is, what the factions are internally. I just know that these things aren't considered to be allies to one another, which is why they're able to hurt each other. There's a fair few other NPCs who are able to... Oh, fuck. There's a few other NPCs who are able to fuck. Okay, well, I've been through this area and you get what the picture is now. There's a couple of things I want to point out and then we're just going to leave. I can't be bothered to try and kill this thing. One is an item we're going to pick up, which I can't remember what is, and is probably just souls. The other is that there is a giant skull here, and that skull does not conform to the shape of any other enemy in the game world. There is no creature in the... Where's it gone? Maybe the area didn't reset when I rested at the bonfire, even though it's supposed to. I'm not sure what's up with that. Still, any excuse not to have to fight the fucking thing. These things do look pretty slow, but they can move surprisingly quickly. If you're far away, they will come at you at a scallop. There's something inherently silly about fighting a giant clam with a dueling sword. Which also sounds like the setup to a pun, but I don't have any ammunition in there. I don't have a pun for that one. I wonder if there's some kind of symbiotic relationship between these two, since they clearly seem happy to share a home. Or perhaps this is simply where they live. They're roommates. Are clams tasty? I've never tried them. I have a reluctance to try seafood for the most part. I'm not sure why. Just, ugh. Seafood just seems gross to me a lot of the time. I think it probably has something to do with the idea that you're supposed to eat an entire creature. I don't like shrimp for that reason. It's just something about just putting a whole entire creature in your mouth and devouring it with all the organs and all the bits and all the stuff. It just really grosses me out for some reason. Anyway, this skull over here. Who the hell skull is this? Nobody knows. It's the only thing here. It doesn't conform to the shape of dragon skulls as we know them. Majestic! Look at it go. Size of this lad. So, there is speculation in the community as to whose skull this is or what it is, but most of it is kind of knowingly spurious because there's really zero information on it whatsoever. So, that leaves us with one thing left to do. And it is to go pick a fight that we never needed to pick. This will be the last thing we take care of today, the bonus boss in Londo. And then next time we will be taking care of the DLC, and then probably the time after that it will be the end of the game. Do I have a Firekeeper soul?
So you have received a revelation. Very auspicious. I hope for the best. I pray that through you, her wish will be granted. Have you heard of Seif the Scaleless? In legend, he turned against the ancient dragons. He became Lord Wind's confidant, was granted dukedom, and was allowed to pursue his research. At the Regal Archives, he immersed himself in research on scales of immortality. The one thing that he did not have, but his very research drove him mad. The archives became a dungeon, a place for sinister experiments. Now, nobody dares even approach the Duke's forbidden archives. It looms over this land high as a mountain. But I should warn against even an approach. If you require rest, that is...
One of the things I always forget to do on replays of this game is actually talk to the NPCs. I always forget that you do actually get told quite a lot. It's through one or two lines, you know. NPCs will have one or two strange evocative lines of dialogue, but they do just straight up tell you a bunch of stuff, and I tend to forget that. It's enigmatic stuff that doesn't really explain very much, but it sure is stuff nonetheless. So, we are going to head down and go fight Gwyndolin, the youngest child of Lord Gwyn, god of sunlight. So naturally his youngest child is god of the moon, which has various important metaphysical connotations. I don't tend to talk very much about this character because they could be kind of contentious in the community. Based on issues of original authorial intent compared to fan interpretation as compared to language used by someone who might be intending one thing but simply is not aware of the ways to talk about other things, means that Gwyndolin is often claimed by the trans community as a trans character, is also often vociferously denied to be such by, gamer dudes. But the facts of the matter are that we know that Gwyndolin is, to quote the game, born as a boy and raised as a woman due to the mythic associations of the moon with femininity and the magic of the moon with feminine power. And, Gwyn, spoiler warning, has been dead for a long-ass time, and yet Gwyndolin does still choose to dress as a female character, so it really is up to fan interpretation what you want to believe. I usually use they them pronouns because of that ambiguity, so as not to cause any kind of problem one way or the other. So if you put the Dark Moon Seance ring on here, this thing disappears. There's not really any indication about how to figure out. I don't actually believe they refer to themselves in any particular way. There's no actual indication.
This is the tomb of the great Lord Gwyn. Tarnished it shall not be by the feet of men. If thou art a true disciple of the dark sun, cast aside thine eye. Hear the voice of myself, Gwyndolin, and kneel before me.
Plus, when people are, reaching for their explanations,
Thou hast journeyed far. Hear my voice. If thou shalt swear by the covenant to become a shadow of Father Gwyn and Sister Guinevere, a blade that shall hunt the foes of our lords, then I shall protect thee, safeguarding thy person with the power of the dark moon.
but yeah, the explanation that they tend to reach towards is that, well, actually, Gwyndolin didn't choose any of this stuff. Gwyn chose their name. Gwyn forced them to dress this way. Gwyn forced them to be how they are. But, fun fact, her character model does actually... Well, see, even I fall for it. I do tend to default to referring her as female, even if I make a concerted effort to use they on stream, which I guess is pointless. But their character model does actually have breasts. I mean, padding exists, but also her legs are snakes. Like, gods don't have to play by mortal rules. In Dark Souls 3, I usually like to join this covenant and use it as my main covenant throughout the game.
Very well. Now thou art a blade of the dark moon, hunteth the enemies of the lords by the power of the dark sun.
It's called Dark Moon Magic, I think you'll find. But yeah, so this is a covenant that allows you to invade players who have committed the sin of destroying the illusion of Guinevere, which we could do now, but we're not gonna, because I don't want to be invaded for the rest of the game. Interestingly, when you do that, Anor Londo goes dark and its gold colour scheme goes away and is replaced with the purple colour scheme. Additionally, all of the enemies in the area disappear and are revealed to have been illusions created by Gwyndolin all along. However, if you just kill Gwyndolin, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen until you destroy the illusion of Guinevere.
dark moon trespasseth upon the great lord's tomb. Mark the words of myself, Gwyndolin. Thou shalt not go unpunished.
Fun fact about this hallway, it's it's actually a trick. Well, it's not actually a trick. It actually does have its like length, and that's it for me, I guess. So a popular trick is to try and hide behind the pillars to block these attacks, but a lot of them will actually pass through the pillar and just kill you outright. Anyway, that corridor is. It's not actually a trick, it's just a really long corridor. If you sprint from, if you turn off the AI with console commands, and you sprint from start to finish, in about 5 minutes you can run from one end to the other. Oh, do we get the cutscene again?
What foolishness.
Interesting, that's not normally the case. Anyway, they will keep dodging backwards as you go and shoot arrows at you. But yeah, we're pretty powerful as sorcerers go at this stage. That was half of their hit points off in one hit. Well, I suppose several hits when you consider that it was the soul sorceries as well. I should probably switch to my magic resistance shield for this fight, but I'm here now, so...
Oh, heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
Oh, does it turn dark now? I guess it does. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Turns out it was fine all along. So with Gwyndolin's soul we can make a bow, and that bow is, I believe it has scaling for dexterity and intelligence and does magic damage. I mean, yes, and I personally suspect that the intention is that the character is, you know, is, I guess, a trans woman, but it's kind of impossible to know what the intent is, and unfortunately the text of the game itself is ambiguous enough that people can make the argument either way. Because this is Gwyn's grave. Amusingly, there's a ordinary human-sized chair here. Presumably this is Gwyndolyn's chair, but they've got snake legs and are twice the height of an ordinary human, so... Is this... There's nothing in this. What the fuck? I don't know what's supposed to be in that chest. Apparently nothing. Anyway, so that should be the last bonus boss, which only leaves the DLC for us left to play through, and then the final boss of the game. The DLC can take a while. It'll probably be one stream, but it might be two. You never know. I mean, yeah, but on the other hand, it's also not an experience that has never happened. I think there have been people who've had similar experiences in their lives, and it's had various different effects on them psychologically. Right, time to level up, as they say. And that's going to be it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to go through my usual spiel of, you know, here is where I am on the internet, you can find me. I'm sure all 6 people watching know my YouTube channel and all of the other stuff, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons. You can support me on Patreon if you feel like it, or Ko-fi and assorted other things. I will catch you all later. Remember, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 PM UK time. Time to go rest my throat, which has been fucking ravaged by COVID. It's bizarre, even my voice is different since COVID. It's fascinating, but also horrible. I will catch you later.